And we're back here once again with another episode of the Iron Man podcast, episode 557, with Yan Zhao for his third appearance on the show. As I recommend to anybody, or if I've had multiple appearances for said person on the Iron Man podcast, go and watch the previous episodes of the Iron Podcast are on Rumble. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to follow me on there if you don't want to. All the content is there, readily available for you, free, actually, because the show was available first on Rumble, because I didn't realize I could have just streamed the whole thing to my new main channel, actually. But it's okay. As you guys know, the show started here at episode 500. So as they say, when you get older, better late than never. It's the saying when you get older. So yeah, go and check out Yan Zhao's first two appearances on the show. And now we're at a different portion in life. Because usually when it comes to these solo appearances, for most of the time, each different appearance has a different perspective and a different way that life has moved in. Life has been moving in a odd direction. We had something basically non-historic happen like 3 weeks ago on a Saturday, an attempted assassination of a president didn't happen. As the media says, there's nothing there for you to see. It's all a figment of our imaginations.
Don't worry about that. It's fine. It's fine.
But how you been, man? What's been going on?
Good. Yeah, it has been a strange month. I have been busy, very busy. Let's see. Since I was on the last time, I had Mark Miller on for a quick interview. Talked about comics mostly, and I'm finally getting my campaign guide called Empire of the Undying Sun. I am getting that ready. We're going to launch that in September, at the end of September. So
that's for D&D, right?
It is. It is a horror campaign for D&D 5th edition. And it will probably be compatible with the new one that they're launching in a month. So anybody who's interested, you can go to empireoftheundingsun.com. If you click on sign up, you'll get the newsletter. And if you do, you will get one free module written by the Dungeon Delver, a.k.a. Bill Sylvie. So Bill used to work for Gary Gygax, who invented Dungeons & Dragons. He was writing content for him, so I got him to write a few things for me. And anybody who signs up for that newsletter between now and the start of the campaign, you'll get that module for free.
Hell yeah, man. Glad you're finally making progress on this. As for me, I've been doing crime as a black man, the usual, that's what the media says we do. So, might as well just live up to our expectations of what the random people on the TVs have said, whatever will I be in life without the media and CNN, right? So how was your talk with Mark Miller, actually? Did you plan on having him longer, or you just only could have him for like the 20 minutes, actually?
Well, it was 15 minutes. Originally, he said, "Oh, okay, talk to my secretary and I'll schedule you for 20." I talked to her and she's like, 15. So I took the 15. I got it. It was great. I think he enjoyed it. So hopefully I'll get him back for longer next time. He was just on John's Long Box earlier this evening.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
They were on for like an hour and a half. It was crazy.
I'll have to ask you guys to put me in touch with him, because I like Mark Millar's work, actually. I think Mark's great. It's really weird, the fact that people think, because people forget he was known for obviously like Civil War. He's done so much more than that, everyone. Like, remember that's one of those movies called Kick-Ass? Yeah, he actually wrote the stories for those, honestly. He's did Jupiter's Legacy. Jupiter's Legacy is the Netflix kind of failed that series, actually. That's when he got like the big money, for Netflix. He got the whole bag. He was essentially waiting to get the bag for an IP. It made everyone so jealous. Like, did you not see earlier this year Mark Waid just having a complete meltdown over Mark Miller's success? What's fine crazy is both their names are Mark, but only one of them is the real Mark. I just find that so crazy, actually. Like, you can tell the coping and seething was out of this world with what he was saying. He said some real gay shit, dude, like a dying star falling off. Like, what the hell, bro? What are you talking about? Fuck, dude's going off on like some sort of tirade and poem. Like, what is falling star? What are you talking about? He's never fallen off at all. He's actually honestly only been going upwards in his career, actually. Like, ever. His books are like when he drops a new series, always will sell out in stores. It's always in like the top 10, top 15, top 20 ICV2. That the series where he culminated all of his stuff recently, Big Game, was really high selling. The trade paperback sold very well. I have no clue what he was talking about when Marco was like he fell off. Fell off when? That never, like, quite literally never happened. Actually, like if you're as depressed as that guy is, even though he's talented himself, you just cope and see that someone else's success. I forgot Mark is a straight white British man, so that definitely irks in these days.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing too about Mark Miller is he sort of set the trend that created a lot of problems in the industry. Like when he started, I think Wanted was his first movie or his first book that got made into a movie. There was no Netflix, right? But he sort of set the pace where, oh yeah, you can actually sell your stuff on Netflix. So then everybody started writing comic books like there were pitches for Netflix instead of actual books. And what they didn't get is like Mark Miller's books were good because they were written to be comic books. It's like, and because they were good, then somebody wanted to adapt them. Somebody, wanted to buy all the properties. You can't just make crap comics and expect people to pick it up. I mean, it's happened in a few cases, but one of the big problems with the industry, at least in the US, is that at the big two and a lot of the smaller publishers, people, they want the Netflix ring, It's like, okay, this comic is a stepping stone. This is like my storyboards for a movie. And they just don't work.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's one of those things where back then, you remember, after the MCU success and DC's attempted success, let's just say that they never had success. They mostly just failed outright. Every company was trying to basically get their hands on their own like superhero property to have like their own superhero universe. People saw Amazon. They got Invincible, which was done by Robert Kirkman. They had The Boys. The Boys is done by I forgot his name, but they got that for them actually. And then Netflix, they put up the big money for Mark Miller stuff. So people thought, oh wow, like all these guys want their own superhero stuff. Oh, I forgot. Netflix had Umbrella Academy that comes from Dark Horse. Actually, that's gonna wrap up this year, season 4, or 5, I think.
In a couple weeks. Yeah. And they also had Lock and Key.
You're right. So at a point, I could agree, but there was a time where all these big streaming services, because people were in this like weird copium stage of like all these streamers, they'll have their own superhero property, and then superheroes are popular, so that is going to draw like the people that like superheroes to their streaming services. But that's the problem with that, guys. All that stuff is in theory. That's a theory thing. If in actual reality, streaming services, literally outside of like Netflix and Hulu, don't really have as much like word of mouth pull. Like I remember, man, before the pandemic happened, like you would have general conversations with people, and whenever you mentioned Netflix, they would only mention that they had Netflix, but they never mentioned that they would watch Netflix constantly. It was only like, oh yeah, I have Netflix in case I want to binge some stuff. That means they're not even watching it consistently. They only have it just in case they might have missed something. That tells you people were actively going out and doing things. They weren't really sitting on streaming services. And Hulu was like the TV one, where if you missed a TV show episode, Hulu would have it. Netflix was like for movies. Every other streaming service, essentially after that, never had the level of impact that Netflix and Hulu did. They just never did at all. And then Hulu got absorbed by Disney and ESPN and all that stuff, but they're still their own thing. But that's because Max never really took off the way Warner Brothers thought. Paramount Plus, as we know, is losing a lot of money, despite the NFL casters of last year saying it was a good thing that you should buy this right now. Is crazy. Apple TV Plus just announced recently they're going to cut back on spending on a lot of their stuff, obviously, because people don't understand this, man. When it comes to businesses like that, the business of Apple, guys, creates products, and then they have subdivisions that they make in order to be profitable and sustainable on their own. That way the actual company can still function, and then these little other subsections can function too. Now with Apple TV Plus, people got to realize, well, if that's not profitable and that's at most breaking even, and let's be honest, there's probably even not in breaking even, it's probably losing a lot more money than that. It's probably in the red, if we're being completely honest here. That means the people that run Apple right now, whoever the CEO is, I forgot, has to take money
Tim
out
Cook.
He has to take money out of his own salary, potentially his own pocket, to keep that afloat. Remember, they have to keep that afloat, because the idea is, well, if we get it to a point where it's profitable, it's sustainable on its own, because it just generates more revenue for the company. But that doesn't happen for any of these streaming services. Like Warner Brothers has always been in debt. I don't know why they ever made a streaming service. Just to show more money into something that they don't have, you know?
Well, it's interesting that you bring up Apple, because if we go way back to when the iPods first came out,
the problem. Oh yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
The problem with the original iPods was you couldn't legitimately buy music. You had to download or rip MP3s. You had to use Napster or something. So all the music companies were pissed. So Apple made their own where they were selling all this stuff that would be compatible with their iPods. And it was a huge deal because before that, you were paying like $20 for a CD, and there would be like 2 good songs out of 20, and everybody was pissed. So now you could just pay $1 for one song, and people were happy. Now, that was a lost leader. They never expected that to make money. So when it eventually did, they're like, yes. But the thing is, they had the physical thing that they need in order to sell the downloads, right? So what happened when Netflix, they were mailing you DVDs, and it was a great service. But when they finally got into the streaming business, it was after Apple had cornered the market on music, and they were basically putting the screws to all the music companies. So the movie companies saw all this, and they're like, "Oh hell no, we're not going to let Netflix do this to us." So when a couple of years after Netflix really got this going, that's when all these companies started making these plans to have their own streaming services. Say, "Oh no, we're going to do our own. We're not going to be under somebody else's thumb," which was totally the wrong thing, because the infrastructure is just so expensive. It doesn't make sense. It seems like Disney would have been the one that made sense, because parents would be willing to pay for the classic movies for the kids. But the problem is they screwed it up because they keep making crap that's really expensive.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, there's very few companies it would make sense for, if you're talking like straight up just money and business wise. I guess for Disney would make sense because back catalog, they were at that point in time the premier family brand, and well, they're mostly the premier just shit brand now that people don't trust at all. That people just don't trust them at all to make a good product at all. Even at the point where even when they do make a good product, they're like, okay, this is not replicable more than this one time. It's like, that one time you're with your wife and she gives you that one sex position you've been asking for some months, but she's not doing it ever again. That was only a one-time thing. You're like, okay, better just enjoy this while I can, And that's what Disney is at this point. Warner Brothers, in theory, could do it given their back catalog, but they've always been bad with money. They've never actually even made a lot of profit, even on the movie section. Like, a lot of their financial failures have just been well documented. I mean, you're looking at what David Zaslav just did for them, like in 2022 when he just took this Axe Bad Girl, and when it was just done, a movie that was basically all you need to just edit it. He just was like, no, I'd rather just actually not release this horrible pile of dog shit to you, so your eyes won't actually need acid to, get the memories out. Like, thank you for that. And to be fair, it's kind of weird. I understand why he did it, but it's so weird that he said that because DC put out a movie like Birds of Prey. I'm like, all right, I get what you're saying, but then why did you guys put out Birds of Prey? It's like, okay, but you weren't in charge then. I understand. Oh, God. And then now you're looking at, because what else has really been big? Like, remember AMC? They tried launching a streaming service. All they had was like The Walking Dead. It's like, okay, come on, AMC, you gotta stop doing this. The Walking Dead. Like, how much you gonna keep this going, guys? BT Plus was a thing that got absorbed by Paramount. I guess streaming was not the future like everyone thought,
No, streaming absolutely does make sense, but not when everybody has their own. People really like Netflix and let's say Amazon Plus too, because you could get rid of that $100 a month cable bill. People are already starting to feel the pinch, and it's like, okay, well, I could afford Netflix for $10 a month. Now it's more, and you got to pay, and you got to watch ads. So I'm a little
that's another thing too.
So on that,
people need to understand, if these streaming services, I know like the media does this a lot too, and it's so cringe when they do it. They're like, these services are profitable. All right, so if these services are profitable, why do they have advertisers? And someone said, because they can make more money. It's like, okay, the point of streaming initially was to go here and not have ads. So if they need advertisers, they very clearly are not doing well financially. So much so to the point where they've actually tripled their prices. People back and look at the actual original price history of how much things have increased just with streaming services. They've not been profitable at all. Like, remember when Apple TV Plus launched with like $5? They were launched with like, great, that's not sustainable. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. But the theory of streaming basically is they could get so many people to subscribe that the amount of money you generate from the subscriptions, it'll offset the cost of production. The problem with that is labor has increased, how you make movies and television have increased, salaries have increased across the board because our lovely president and inflation and everything. It's just, I thought where they were coming from with Hollywood with it did make some sense. There was definitely a way where it could have worked, but I think people just value just going to a theater for the most part, when even that was a thing. You know,
Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to say. I mean, the whole entertainment industry is just such a mess right now. To be honest, I think a lot of people would rather watch Korean shows or a Korean movie than see a lot of the crap that comes out of Hollywood these days.
They'd rather go on Tubi and watch it too. Tubi,
exactly.
A free streaming service, outperforms every streaming service that is probably, let's just say, dumped over hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that we'll never see in our life into content no one's going to be seeing at all.
And then there's also Canopy, which I'm surprised more people don't know about. If you have a library account somewhere in the US, you can watch streaming shows and movies on Canopy for free. You just have to log in with your library account, and that's it. You know, so it's hard to say where the whole streaming industry is going to go. I think all these smaller ones, they were too late. You know, Netflix got that first mover advantage where they were lucky with House of Cards, and they got the Marvel shows really quick, even though those were like 50-50.
They had The Office. Like they essentially were like the hub of streaming until basically the other companies made their own, because they thought, well, why are we letting them have all that when we could just do it ourselves? The problem with that is you doing it yourself means you have to pay for all of it yourself. Like just in honestly general aspect of like having a social media team that runs those accounts. And the thing is with streaming, another problem with it is people don't really point this out, man. The advertising has always been bad. It's never been, even Netflix has always still struggled with that. Nobody knows when this shit's dropping unless you literally have a Twitter account or a social media account, you follow them. You will not know when their stuff drops. Remember when, I think what Patty Jenkins said it best. She's like, streaming movies feel like a ghost town. They get released and nobody knows. That's, like that's what happens all the time. Because people say, well, you have to go out and find good content. Yeah, in theory, you probably should be doing that. Average people, guys that get off a 9-to-5 job, do not want to do that. They don't want to go and find good content. They should, as the company, since they make the content for you, should recommend this content to you on their homepages to the point where you can see it. Like, do you think a construction worker who gets off a 9-to-6 shift wants to sit there and scroll endlessly up and down their phone for hours to find something good? It's like, no one's doing. That's why bad reality shows get all the views, because no one wants to sit there wasting time scrolling through to find something, you know?
Yep. Well, that's the weird thing too, is like, let's say the next Stranger Things drops. If you go on Netflix and you know the day it's coming out and you look under new releases, it's not going to be there. Like, you have to literally go in and search and type in the name. I don't know why they do that. And then the other thing is their recommendations are absolutely crazy. It's like, you know, I'll go on there and it's like, I'm watching mostly action movie, sci-fi, some anime, stuff like that. And then it'll recommend me like
6 Feet Underground.
Or like the baking competition from Pakistan or something. Like, what the fuck? Why would you think I want that?
Why are they recommending you stuff for your wife? Like, what the hell?
I don't know. And then like, what's that other one? Every time Queer Eye comes out with a new series, like, it's like, special for you. What? Why do you think? What makes you think I want to watch that?
Oh, God. The personalized recommendations have always been not really that good. Like, and even Netflix themselves, like, you remember when they dropped Red Notice with Dwayne Johnson and Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot? I think they spent like $200 million on that, and that just fell off a cliff. Like, new movies on there come out, people basically view them, and then that's it. And I'll tell you, that's how bad of a model of making money you're never going to see come back to you. Because, guys, if they dump $200 million into a movie like that, there's no real return on that unless you basically would have to get back in. So what's 200 million times three? Something like $500 million. They would have to basically bring in 3 times the budget of those $200 million movies constantly.
Yeah.
Now they
Well,
do, like, don't they bring in like what, 2 billion in profit? They said.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but how much is that like back to being reinvested into like work producers, showrunners, writers? They have to distribute all that content in multiple different countries. You can't put yourself in other people's countries for free. That's gonna have its own cost to you. And then remember, they just cracked on this password sharing thing. So and remember, they like the head guy, Ted Sarandos, said they were losing money doing that. I think the reason why they're profitable now is because they cracked down on the password sharing. They completely just stopped that. So if they can make money back off that, it's going to be a little bit, but that is a way you could save money potentially.
Yeah, but that's a problem. That's when companies are on the way down, because a company will start, they'll make a product, it's successful, they'll make another product, and they'll keep bringing in revenue by, in this case, getting more and more subscribers. But once you start seeing a company squeeze and clamp down and try to get every nickel from their customers, they're on the way down. I mean, I understand the password sharing thing to an extent, but I mean, there's a lot of families that just can't afford everybody having their own.
Yeah. John,
That's the thing.
what's up, man? How you doing, dude? John says, I like how the white guy is in the darkness and the black guy is in pure white. It's like symmetry. Yeah. Exactly. We didn't plan this out. It was just, that's just how it happened on screen.
Yin and yang, buddy. Yin and yang.
So I'll ask you, since you watched Deadpool and Wolverine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so did I. Obviously, the MCU had to have been saved because they only released one movie this year. Well, actually, did you overall enjoy the movie, actually?
Okay, so here's the thing. I made a video about it, and I got a little bit of flack.
That's good.
I did.
Boomer takes in there.
I did enjoy the movie because it's what you want in a movie. I want cheap, disposable entertainment. It wrapped up this series nicely. It had nice homages. We got to see Wesley Snipes back again. You got to see Channing Tatum. They threw in a nod. I can't remember her name, but the girl from Logan, and then the guy who played Pyro in X2.
Yeah.
I can't remember
the girl. It was the girl that was. She was 12 when Logan came out. It was the girl that I forget her name.
I don't remember the actress.
She's all grown up now. Holy shit, she grew up to be a great looking lady. Right? Let's just say that.
But it was nice. It was respectful towards the fans. But I mean, the plot was thin gruel. There's really no plot, and I'm okay with that. Liked
the Gambit. I really enjoyed that Ryan Reynolds gave Channing Tatum that Gambit.
Yeah.
People don't know back then, because this was different to follow stuff back then. Basically, Channing Tatum was going to have an X-Men Origins Gambit movie.
Yep.
And then this is around the time you had the Fox-Disney merger. So basically that got scrapped at like the last minute when they said they were going to start filming. He had got in physical shape. And this was back when Channing Tatum was like the big guy. He was essentially kind of like The Rock is now for a lot of for like the kids now. Like he was that guy for a little bit. He was in every movie. His movies were better than The Rock's, in my opinion. He could act. Channing Tatum could actually act for pretty good for the most part. He's entertaining. And then after that Gambit movie, he just fell off. And it wasn't, he even said he wasn't because he wanted to leave. He was just so sad he didn't get the Gambit movie. I think the reason why people don't think he can play Gambit, he has no facial hair. Gambit has facial hair, and Gambit has a mullet. If he just grew hair, he'd be fine. He literally does kind of look like Gambit, but he's bald. That's the only problem. He wasn't bald. They would work out for him. I think it's the only reason why he can talk like that. He's done movies where he's did different accents. And he did a great accent. It was fine. Yeah. I was like, Ryan Reynolds, that's a real nice man for that. He didn't have to do that, but that was really good on him to do that, And he proved he could play Gambit good. If he was in a movie, I'd be like, okay, better than Taylor Kitsch and X-Men Origins Wolverine. That was certainly a performance of all time. Let's just say that. You guys are feeling racism. Thank you.
Yeah, one step at a time. At a time.
I'm more like a white black guy, but sure, let's go with that one.
Yeah, but I really liked it. I really liked how you could tell this film was driven by Ryan Reynolds, and even Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. You could tell that they both really had a lot of respect for the fans. They they did things that fans wanted to see. They kept a lot of the politics out of it, which is, exactly what I want when I go to my popcorn summer movie. I don't want to be dealing. We don't need to heal racism at that time. I just want, I just want to be entertained for an hour and a half, and it was a lot of fun. I thought, if you're not into that kind of movie, like goofy, silly, breaking the fourth wall, or you just don't like superhero movies, okay, maybe it's not for you. But if you enjoyed, especially those early Marvel movies or those Fox superhero movies, and the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, yeah, you'll enjoy this one, I think.
Because I think even for me, like Deadpool's not a character I really kind of generally vibe with. I get that kind of
No.
character style. I get what it's trying to do. I told you before. I think I told you on the other shows. I don't really watch this stuff to like laugh. If I naturally do, it's probably because I did something really funny. For a character like Deadpool, I never saw the first one. I watched the second one. After I watched the second one, I kind of forgot mostly everything about it except for like certain things. The story in that one is really bad. I thought it was just so forgettable. Like if I went and rewatched it, maybe it might stick in my head a bit better. But I watched that movie in theaters and I was like, outside of like the funny bits, the movie just had no real story. Honestly, it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I find crazy, man, is like a lot of people would go like, well, this movie doesn't have a good story, and people go, okay, that's fine because this is kind of Deadpool. Well, no one would offer that level of leeway to any other bad MCU movie. Like, obviously, if Thor: Love and Thunder that came out, obviously the story in that one was bad as me being really nice. That was like landfills of trash bad. People go, the story's bad here, it doesn't work. Well, then in this movie, why does the story get a I don't understand why would people give a free pass to this movie story? But if it was any other MCU movie, even the ones coming after, like Captain America 4, Thunderbolt, Fantastic Four, like if those movies have bad stories, we know they're going to get criticized. They're going to get heavily criticized for having bad stories. But this one got kind of a free pass for having not so good of a story, which I find really weird.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference because in this one, the story was not great. I mean, it was basically just an excuse to have Deadpool going all over with Wolverine. There's really no point to it. But fans enjoyed it. They were respectful for the fans, and it was entertaining. I mean, there's a fight scene in a minivan. Like, how cool! When was the last time you saw that? That was a great setup. But a lot of these other ones, they fail because they're not entertaining. Deadpool 3, weak story, but still entertaining. But like, what was that? The Eternals? That was so bad I had to turn it off.
Turned it off. I sadly watched the entire thing, and then I wanted to get a rope and tie it to a railing and end my life on a bridge. That movie was straight up bad.
That was the first Marvel movie I made it through Thor 2, but that
remember
one
when that one was
couldn't.
considered the worst MC movie? I'm old enough to remember when that was considered the worst one. Even though Iron
It
Man
looks
3
brilliant now.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's Iron Man 3 and Thor Dark World. You will probably still put them in like the bottom of the MCU like rankings if you did like feel to like rank them. But like Eternals for me is the worst by far. That movie is straight up just makes no sense. It's so bad. It's just not even worth a movie at that point. The most nonsensical things happen. I'm supposed to believe that this god wants to, he knows the ascension is going to happen. And then they're trying to stop said ascension. And then he lets them stop it only to come back and take them away again. It's like, this is so stupid. It makes no sense. It's just a bad movie. Like, and then they topped it off by making Thor: Love and Thunder. And I was like, all right, all these are like competing for worst MCU movie ever made, probably. There was like a competition between Eternals, Thor: Love and Thunder, Ant-Man 3. That one's bad, actually. Oh gosh. Far From Home. That one's not good. What else is there? Doctor Strange 2. Doctor Strange 2 is pretty yikes,
Yeah, I mean, that one was so uneven because I love Sam Raimi. He's fantastic. And there were certain parts in there where it went like full Evil Dead, and it was yes. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of get the feeling that he didn't have a whole lot of choice in what was going on in that movie. Like, here's the script, direct the script. And
Yeah, because he came
he got
in late because Scott Derrickson left. Scott Derrickson, who ended up directing The Black Phone, he left early in production due to basically they said what do they call those things in movies?
creative differences.
Creative differences. Yeah, it basically means he don't want to do what they want to do, so he just left. That's kind of what that basically means. Yeah. So like, hey, Sam Raimi, you haven't directed a Marvel movie in like 20 years. Want to try again? And then he's. Right now, Sam Raimi, I mean, I hope he can direct a Spider-Man 4, maybe just for my own nostalgic sake. I hope that it would give him a chance to direct Spider-Man 4 after, Spider-Man 3 was not very good with Tobey Maguire back then. So,
yeah. I mean, and even that one's funny. Like, it looks like a work of genius when you compare it to a lot of the modern superhero movies.
Mhm.
But yeah, back then it wasn't great.
Man,
But did you like Thor 3?
Thor 3,
Armageddon?
Because I know that story
Ragnarok.
too with Ragnarok. Okay, so like outside of the comedy bits, I understood why people didn't like it. And to me, that's a movie where if you experienced it in the theater, I could understand why people liked it. But if you actually, because I watched it more than a few times because we do the shows here, it's one of those movies where it doesn't take a really serious story serious at all, and it's like, I think that was the wrong third movie to have that storyline because there's no way they could go all out with that, knowing that Infinity War is right behind it coming out, right around the corner coming out at the time. I think outside of the jokes and some of the action scenes here and there, would you put it like top 10 actually? No,
I really didn't like it at all.
It's one of those movies that gets worse over time when you watch it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the problem is, so if you look at the first generation of those Marvel movies after Iron Man, each was a different kind, right? Like Iron Man 1 was pretty gritty and he's like killing people and all that sort of stuff. Thor was like, it was a little bit of a fish out of water movie, but a lot of it had like these old, like classical themes, like gods and this and that. So it wasn't too crazy. And you had Captain America First Avenger was like a nod to all those old World War II movies. So they were each had their own
Joe
distinct,
Johnston. Holy crap.
They all had their own distinct genre, but later on, like they're all kind of the same. Like Thor 3
was after Guardians. I think it was after Guardians that they did it. Because I remember Iron Man 1 was kind of like this gritty, gritty action adventure movie. Yeah. Captain America 1 was war thriller, you would say, like in the war genre. The first Thor was more like Shakespearean. It had a lot, it had some nice fantasy elements to it, especially when you bring in Kenneth Branagh, as you know, with him, he's gonna have that fantasy element to him. And then I don't remember. This is what I don't remember too much. It's the first Incredible Hulk movie in the series. That one felt. I don't remember what kind of genre that was trying to fall in. Directed by Louis Leterrier, Edward Norton. Yeah. I don't remember that one all that much. I think that was my least. That one and Iron Man 2 were like my least favorite in the first bunch. Iron Man 2 just feels very cheesy. Like there's some good.
I like that one
in there. Really, you did? Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it was my favorite, but I don't understand all the hate that it gets. Like it's not as good as one, but it's like fairly similar. And it's like the last one where Tony Stark is Tony Stark until we get to maybe like Infinity War Endgame.
I think the only other movie that doesn't really fall into that, I mean, Winter Soldier is more like a spy thriller.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you look at that's my favorite of the MCU movies. But that's why Thor 3 didn't work. I mean, 2 was just a failed attempt, but 3 didn't work because Thor can't be the butt of the joke. Thor always has to be the straight man. He has to be serious.
If people read Thor comics, you'd be like, wow, what in the hell are they doing with this guy? Just, I don't know what story I could point to people. Read J. Michael Straczynski's 2007 Thor. Or you could read the one where, I forgot. There's another one I could probably recommend. Just read that one. You can see like or go on YouTube, watch someone explain to you who Thor is, and you're gonna be like, wow, what are they doing to this character? It's like the character, or other people know in that Civil War story, the after one, where basically Ragnarok is on Earth because of the actual Ragnarok story. So Asgard is on Earth, And then basically Tony tries talking shit to Thor. Thor walks up to him, basically, let's say in lack of better terms, he didn't defeat him. He just actually beat the living shit out of him. He basically punked him in a way where he was like, okay, I'm not fighting this guy anymore. But in the MCU, you don't get that feeling. I really don't understand what happened with the Thor character. I mean, I know I've been watching this forever. I know what happened. It's just more like it's what Chris Hemsworth. Remember that interview Chris Hemsworth had like earlier this year, where he felt like, because like I feel the same way too about his character. In some movies, he was needed, but like Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, if you strip that movie down, he's not really needed. Like Thor is just there.
Well, he takes off halfway through.
Yeah. Like Thor's not really needed in Avengers 2. You could argue, like, even in his own movies, he feels like a lesser character outside of like the first one. You know, the third one, you could like they're just he's not even really Thor. Most of the time, he's just acting like a complete buffoon. In the first Avengers movie, I feel like he was utilized pretty well in that one. In Infinity War, utilized pretty well there. But in Endgame, he gets to be the fat Thor that doesn't fight properly.
That was,
you know?
That was
and then
Love
and Thunder, he's just brain dead stupid at this point. He's literally just dumb. That's his character shit because he's just a moron. It's like I can understand that Chris Hemsworth is frustrated with that. But then again, the reason why they went to the Ragnarok route is because people thought the Thor character was boring. So they thought they'd bring in Taika Waititi. They changed the style up. But people factor in that only can work once because you just kind of like subverted their expectations in a way that made them satisfactory. But that can't happen again because in Thor Love and Thunder, we saw like once people saw what that kind of shit was, they didn't like it anymore. They're like, well, this is really stupid. This is actually bad, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between laughing at the situation a character finds himself in versus laughing at the character himself. And that's the problem once we got, really in Ragnarok, but it's got especially bad when we got Fat Thor, where he's just the butt of all the joke. He's this tough god and he's like crying about his mom and this and that. And it's just not what you want. And really, if Marvel wants to go forward and save the MCU, what they need to do is they need to go back to how the phase one was, where every one is like a different kind of movie, you know? You know, and that, and they're sort of evening things out. Like, how do you think the new Captain America is going to go?
When I saw the trailer, I'll be honest here, I didn't think it was that bad. The trailer, I didn't think it was that bad. The only problem with the trailer that I had was they kept doing that flashing light thing. Or were they trying to give people epilepsy or something? They kept having this flashing light, and I was like, all right, I guess. Like, I think they were trying a little bit too hard to be like Winter Soldier because people kept saying, people, I know they read these comments online. I know they do. So they obviously hear everyone rave about Winter Soldier and Civil War. So I think when you look at the trailer, they're really trying to kind of capture that Winter Soldier feel. It's just that I don't know if it can work with someone's Captain America. Because I'm pretty sure you would kind of know this from the Marvel Comics phase with the all different Marvel, where people factor in, man, they tried to make this Captain America work. He failed in 2012. They tried to do it, I think, in 2014, 2015, around that period. That failed again. 2 solo series failed. They tried to make him a big thing in Civil War 2. I'm not even sure you guys. There's a thing called Civil War 2 in Marvel's comics. It failed. It was Iron Man versus Captain Marvel. Oh, great idea. That did not work out. They tried giving him Captain America symbol of hope, while the other one was symbol of liberty. Both series canceled, but Sam Wilson was canceled first. That didn't work out. That lasted maybe 12 issues, actually. And now they just stick him in the Avengers, written by Jed McKay. He's the Captain America of the Avengers lineup now. And it's like, this character's never been able to work. I really don't know. It doesn't work in comics. People saw it in the movies. You can understand in the movie, and even in Falcon and Soldier. I like Falcon and Soldier. I think that's the best show they did. But even that show, it highlights problems that the character has. I think in the show and the movies, they should have just given him the Super Soldier Serum, honestly, to make it more effective.
That would have solved a lot of problems. But they could have made it work. But I think they really did Sam Wilson dirty in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Because first of all, you shouldn't have had U.S. Agent. The whole 10 episodes should have been about Sam Wilson, normal guy, figuring out how to become Captain America. Because Cap obviously had the Super Soldier Serum, so he can't be Cap. He can't be Steve Rogers Cap, but he could be another Captain America. And then they shouldn't have had Bucky as as sort of his partner like that. What should have happened is they should have had old Steve Rogers go to Bucky and be like, "Hey, Buck, I know you're retired, but look, I really need you to come back. I need you to help Sam. I can't. I'm too old now. I can't be Captain America. I can't mentor him. He needs someone. He needs someone to help him figure out his own way. He doesn't have to be me, but he needs to fight for the values that we fought for in the 40s.
Mhm.
So then they should have had Bucky as sort of Sam Wilson's Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? And the whole thing should be, everyone's down on Sam, uh, and he needs to figure out how to combine that. I'm going to be I'm going to take what I was as the Falcon and I'm going to up it up a notch to become a
Mhm.
new Captain America. I think that would have worked because part of the problem with putting in U.S. Agent was a reaction to what was going on in politics and movies in the
Mhm.
1980s. So in the 70s, you had like mass demonstrations, burning
Mhm.
down inner cities.
Mhm.
Kind of feels a little familiar. But what happened is you started to get movies like Dirty Harry, where it was like, civil rights be damned. We're just gonna, the cops got to shoot the bad guys and this kind of stuff. So that was U.S. Agent, and you had that comparison before with a more classically liberal
Mhm.
Steve Rogers, and then you could compare and contrast. But in the movies, Steve Rogers is gone, so you need to set up Sam Wilson in that category where he's like, okay, I have these values from the 40s, but now I'm going to apply it to everybody. Whereas,
Mhm.
there would have been different minority groups who didn't benefit from those back then. Now I'm going to apply it to everyone. And then you have the other guy who's like, I'm just going to kill bad guys. But you need to set Sam up that way first.
Mhm.
And they never did that.
Also, in the trailer, God, you're gonna have Red Hulk, and
Ugh.
I don't even know how he's defeating him. Like the way he's gonna beat him is gonna be probably one of the most contrived pieces of bullshit ever in media history. Guys, people that Red Hulk can actually beat Standard Hulk. I'm supposed to believe a guy with no super soldier serum, just even at that level,
Mhm.
and a shield can beat that guy. Not happening. He will squat it. He will squish him like a bug. Like one punch would probably end up killing him but they're not gonna do
Yep.
that. Obviously, it's not gonna happen. But I just don't know why, if they're trying to go back to like their Winter Soldier routes with making these Captain America movies like spy thrillers, adding in Red Hulk brings in a whole nother element to that. And I don't know, like the trailer didn't look that bad, but the problem here is like that was only a minute, 10 seconds, and we know those movies had massive reshoots. It's been delayed a lot. When we get a full trailer, that's where I'm gonna be like, okay, that's going to be the nail in the coffin for me. I mean, I was going to watch it regardless, as we have the show here and we watch new movies anyway.
Mhm.
But it's just I don't want it to be bad. I mean, I want the MCU to get back on track. I really do, but I'm supposed to have faith in that. Like I don't know. It's
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of confidence coming out of the Marvel unit or really
Mhm.
anywhere at Disney recently. I mean, it's like you said before. Occasionally, you get something good. Mandalorian season 1 was good.
Yeah.
That was an odd thing. I liked Andor. Um, I liked Werewolf by Night, which is a great Halloween episode they had for the Marvel
That's what they
stuff.
should do for the
But
shows. They
yeah,
should do that. Why do they have to be 6 episode filler fest with like one scene you watch them for? Why can't these shows just be an hour special? You call it a day and we just move on.
yep.
Like I don't know why they have to be 6 weeks long of just filler nonsense. It just makes no sense actually.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is why, like, if you take a show like Echo, like,
Mhm.
why would you commit that kind of resources to that show? Like, has there ever been any indication that people really like that character? I don't think so. So why not test out all these characters in, like 90-minute to 2-hour
Mhm.
TV movies, and then if people like it, okay, then
Mhm.
go for more. But
Yeah,
it's weird.
I just don't get the obsession with all the show making. Like I think because the ideas behind the shows originally was to basically give characters who can't really
Mhm.
like hold their own movie a show to give them more
Yep.
time to develop. But then it became a thing where all the shows turned into this long drawn out filler nonsensical mess where that when you were done watching the show, you were like, man, that was pretty bad. And then you have to recommit yourself to it again. And after She-Hulk season 1 episode, it was like Wedding One where she punched, like it was so bad. I was like, man, I'm done. After that episode, I was done with all of them. I was like, Secret Invasion, nope. Echo, nope. None of them. Absolutely, I committed to these. We were doing watch parties for these. We were watching these right when they dropped, and I was like, at She-Hulk, guys, your boy was just like, I'm not falling for this trick ever again. It's just the same thing, and none of them ever got good. I told you before, I only liked one of the shows. Anyone's like, wait a minute, I liked one of these out of like 10. That's really bad. And now they have this thing with Daredevil coming up, where Daredevil, it was supposed to be 18 episodes. They cut it down to 9. There's going to be 2 seasons. Daredevil probably most likely might be their best show they've done. That's the only people even have hope for, because Agatha's sure not going to be that. Agatha, Ironheart's probably canceled. Let's just be honest here. They probably shelved that shit. They probably pulled a David Zaslav in secret. The whole like Old Yeller. They probably took it out back and just put 2 bullets in it, let it die. A sad, peaceful death.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm hoping that Daredevil turns into something good, but
I hope,
it's funny because all the fans wanted, most of that original cast back, and it looks like we're going to get it. But the problem is they really should have hired all those original people from Netflix. Like, hey guys, come make a show for us. But it's, part of it's politics. And the other part is Disney sort of can't decide what it wants to be. One of the nice things about the Deadpool movie was that we actually got to see some violence. Lots of people died. It was, in some ways, it was very gory. And, you don't see that a lot on the Disney brand. I think if Disney is going to have these superheroes, it needs to have like sort of different strata of shows where, like, yeah, you want some of these shows to be completely family friendly. Like maybe a Spider-Man show, would be good for young kids all the way to adults. But some of these characters, like, they don't work unless they're a little bit more serious and a little bit more adult oriented.
I think people take it too easy on the kids nowadays. I think if you look at how kids grew up, even from like the Batman animated series 90s portion, remember that Batman series is actually, if you go back and rewatch it as an adult, it still holds up very well. Some episodes obviously more than others, but it's still overall really good. There's really dark episodes there. I think people treat kids with way too many kid gloves now. Yeah, you don't want to show them rated R Deadpool Wolverine shit, but you can write things in a way that's serious, that they can understand on a surface level, and then when they get older, they can be like, oh, that was serious. I don't know why all of a sudden, because it's kids now, we just have to never show them anything serious. It has to be just rainbows and sunshines ever. It's like not how media was back then. Kids grew up watching Top Gun, where a guy just randomly died in the air. Like, I'm pretty sure people can handle that. And as long as kids knows it's fake, it's not real, they'll be fine. Obviously, seeing that stuff in real life is much different. That's traumatic. But I think media, the reason why it's gotten a little bit worse is people just take things a little bit too, I was like, there's too many shackles now. It's just all these, oh, can we do this? Can we do that? It's like, bro, are we ever going to take risks anymore like we used to? Like, damn, we always got to just like be in this box, so to speak,
Have you seen the new Batman series?
I need to. I actually have a plan to review it with someone who I'm going to do a weekly show with. So yeah, I do plan on watching it. I did not like the fact that they gender swap Penguin. I saw that. A video is coming out about that. I did the video, and I was thinking to myself, there's this guy. I know you liked my tweet. This guy was just talking to me like, and I was just like, damn, I've never known dumb, stupid idiots until I interacted with that guy. Man said he was a casual. So that automatically you're like, okay, I know where this is going to go. I know all casual lingo. I'm a casual with a lot of things. I know casual lingo for the most part. All casuals say these kind of things constantly. Well, I'm a casual with this, and I don't really care what they do, but I don't know why other people are mad. Do you know how what I just said that sounds so stupid? Okay, so if you're casual with something and you're mad that other people with more skin in the game than you do with the franchise, movie, TV, and it doesn't matter. If you're a casual, I'm just saying this right now. How could you not understand why people are mad? You're a casual. You're new to this, which is fine. Everyone has a starting point. I like when people get into stuff. I have no problem with that. I'm not really like a gatekeeper on that level. People are allowed to get in. But at that point, you have to realize, hey, I'm new here. I don't know what's going on. Let me try and see why they're mad. It's always like, these casuals are so dumb now. It's like, well, I'm casual. I don't care if they really do anything, but you guys are going to watch anyway. I don't care if I'm going to watch anyway. This means I can't criticize it. What happened with that? Like, people didn't like the fact that Iris was black in the Flash show. They criticized her. They still watch the show. I don't know why these days where it's like people point out, well, you criticize it, you're still going to watch it. I never said I wasn't going to watch it. I'm just pointing out that I don't like this decision they made. That's two different things, actually. Just, God, man, there's so many brain dead, retarded, sorry, I can't say that word now, brain dead, special needs, idiot people on this planet. How can someone who admits themselves they don't know what the hell's going on and they are mad that other people that are more invested are voicing their opinions? It actually can't be more stupid when you break it down logically. It makes no sense. I just never got casuals like that. If you're casual, then just shut the hell up and admit, hey, I don't know this very well. I'm kind of new here. But don't do that thing where it's like, oh, I'm a casual. Why are you guys mad? Just accept it. Just take a dick down your throat. And it's like, yeah, you can be like that. I'm not going to be like that. Fuck that.
Yeah, there's something that happened. I don't know when exactly, and I don't know why. It's like about 10 years ago where people people believe that characters or games or stories are part of them. So, like, if I say I don't think the Ironheart character is well written, they'll take it personally. It's like I'm criticizing them personally because they identify with that character, right? So I don't know why that is, because it used to be like, oh, I like this. Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. And then you just move on. So that's part of the thing. And that's why they don't like hearing criticism on the internet. I mean, I think that there is something to the notion that if you're going to criticize, like, at some point you have to either offer a solution yourself or you have to point to the direction of what you think could be a solution. So, like, if you don't like, Thor: Love and Thunder, well, what's a good movie? Which one do you like? Like, you have to point that. If
Jack and Jill, Adam Sandler,
exactly, classic.
That's certainly a movie.
Oh,
let's just say that.
Did you see Al Pacino? He came out last week. I think it was last week. He said in an interview, like, after I was in Jack and Jill, I had a really hard time getting movies for years. Nobody wanted me after that. It's like, oh my God, that's awesome.
Like, or even nowadays, do you know that this take has been popping up more recently with Deadpool and Wolverine? The fact that people have been like saying the Fox Marvel universe is better than the MCU. I think people really play that up in a weirdly disingenuous way. Like, I think the good movies are good, legitimately, but there's a lot of not good ones. I'll just say this: the original X-Men movie by Bryan Singer is not great. Yeah, like the X-Men animated series is better by far. Like, just watch the season 1. We're gonna compare one part. Season 1 is better than that. Like, it's definitely a product of its time. X2 is better. X2 is actually legitimately, it's a good movie. X3, like Last Stand is not good. Last Stand has never been considered good. It's actually a terrible movie. Origins of Wolverine is bad. Like, actually, just why does this exist? First Class and Days of Future Past. Days of Future Past saved that X-Men franchise. Had that not even been good. Not also by Bryan Singer. Then that was Matthew Vaughn. People get them mixed up. Matthew Vaughn directed that one. He directed Kingsman that year too. Then Days of Future Past is the best one to a lot of people. Well, Bryan Singer did that one. Put factor in, Matthew Vaughn saves that X-Men universe because the other two movies were so unbelievably bad. He had to come in and basically went, you know what? Prequel, essentially. Because that movie is essentially a prequel to it's a prequel to the original 2000s one, even though Origins of Wolverine is also a prequel. That timeline is all fucked up. Timeline. People talk about the MCU's timeline is kind of weird with the multiverse. That universe has never had a good timeline. Timeline's all over the place. We're talking about the Wolverine with the Silver Samurai in Japan. Remember that? People like that was.
I enjoy that one, but I wouldn't say it was great.
Yeah, it's just one of those like, okay. Then you had X-Men Apocalypse. Remember?
Yeah. Oh, that was awful.
Oscar Isaac Apocalypse. Yeah. El Salvador. Yeah. No, that was just yikes. Then you had Dark Phoenix. I'll be honest
I
here.
never
Never
saw
saw
that
Dark
one.
Phoenix. I stopped after Apocalypse. They were just that. I was like, I'm just good on this. No more of these.
Yeah, I wanted to see the New Mutants movie, but I never got
I
around
never
to it,
did.
and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
came and went. But
Hmm.
I thought it had a good premise. Like it was the New Mutants are trapped in what seems like a haunted mental asylum,
Yeah, the
you know?
premise was good.
Like
The trailers looked pretty cool. Yeah, it wasn't bad from like the outside looking in, going for like the promotional
yeah.
material. But then the delays, and you're like, oh wow, this probably won't be that interesting. Then the Fantastic Four movies, guys, those were never good. No, I'm sorry, I never liked any of those. Cloud Galactus, remember that?
Yeah.
That was bad. What else was there? People say, well, Blade, guys, Blade is done by New Line Cinema. That's not Fox, okay? That I don't know. They can tell you, talking with the younger kids. Blade was New Line Cinema.
But technically it was the first
That is the
Marvel
first
studio
Marvel.
movie.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to count it as
Uh
Marvel, yeah, obviously that's their
yeah.
character. But people say
And
that
it
as part of Fox. I'm like, I don't think so. Unless I'm wrong.
I don't think so. I don't think it was.
Blade Trinity. Blade Trinity was released under who distributed that? Yeah, no, yeah, it was New Line Cinema. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I'm getting a little too old now at this point. God damn. Yeah, I forgot
So,
all the Blade movies were done by New Line Cinema. Yeah.
and take a look at what was popular then. So you had Blade. It was very violent, very
Yeah.
gory,
Kids
and
grew up watching that,
people
loved it.
absolutely loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was fantastic. And same thing with when Iron Man 1 came out, which was I wouldn't say it was gory, but it was very violent. It was gritty. That's the word I'm looking for.
Mhm.
I think that came out right around the time I think Batman Begins had come out, and I think the second one, Dark Knight Returns, came out like right after Iron Man. So that was that period of very gritty Batman movies,
Mhm.
and even Iron Man 1 had some humor in it. There were some funny parts,
Mhm.
but it never took over from the seriousness of the movie, or at least the movie trying to take itself seriously.
Mhm.
And I think that's like a lot of what's missing.
Mhm.
I've never been a huge James Gunn fan. I don't like his Suicide Squad movie. I don't have
Mhm.
a whole lot of hope for what he's going to do with the DCEU.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that you know if superhero movies are going to come back, they sort of have to go back to that earlier model where
Mhm. You're taking
they're
risks. At least,
yeah
even if the movie comes out like a steaming pile of shit, the one thing I can give those Fox movies for the Marvel ones they did release was at least they took risks. Did they all work
yes
out? Definitely
no
not. But at least they took the risk. They at least tried it out and saw what worked. That's all I really want for superhero movies to do. Just try out some different styles for different characters. Not every
yep
character is Batman's genre. Not every character is Superman's
yep
preferred genre. Trying out different characters can work, but also try out characters that people know. Because I think that's where the MCU got into a big trouble too. Is they were trying out E-list characters no one even care about, like Photon. Like, don't do
yeah
that. You don't gotta be people saying you can do underrated characters, but underrated characters I would consider like B level. Anything after that
yeah
is pretty like you're really reaching into some bad territory there. Photon, Echo, Shang-Chi.
yep
Okay, let's get out of here. Eternals weren't even liked when they were released. And they're like,
yep
you know what? You get your own solo movie. It's like, what the hell is going on, Marvel? What are you doing? Oh shit.
I know.
Same thing DC ran into. DC kept putting out movies for a bunch of characters that people didn't even care for, like Black Adam. Remember, Black Adam came out, and that movie
I
just went.
kind of I was okay with Black Adam.
Mhm,
I enjoyed it well enough. I thought it was different
mhm,
enough. I really
mhm.
liked Pierce Brosnan's Doctor Fate. He was always one
I
of
did
my
too.
favorite DC
Yeah.
characters. And The Rock he's not a bad actor. I mean, the guy just oozes charisma.
Mhm,
Um, I thought it was all right. It was better than some of the other ones, but
mhm.
like Wonder Woman 84 was so bad. I don't think my wife and I finished watching that. But we liked the first one.
Wonder Woman 1984. Oh yeah. Oh, that was
That was horrible.
that was pretty bad. Like, talk about like first good movie to just a sequel that is just absolutely so bad. And I agree to some extent. The third act in the first Wonder Woman film is a little bit weaker than the first two acts, but you still like
Yeah.
it's still overall like good. Like, you still
Yeah.
enjoyed watching it. the sequel is just bad. I knew there was red flags with it when they said it was going to be still set in the past. I'm like, we're still set in the past after the first one. It's like, okay, red flags already there. And then Patty Jenkins, people said, Zack Snyder kind of helped ghost direct and ghost write the movie, even though those have never been proven. Because she does the next one by herself. She writes the entire thing by herself, and it comes out like that. And it's like, people know she was like raping a guy. I was like, oh, okay, Patty Jenkins, are you revealing something to us here that you probably did when you were a bit younger, like with some girlfriends? Like just so. I don't think I've ever seen a Superman movie do that outside of like anything super like rated R. If it's like, oh, I was like, man, that part threw me off. When it's the whole graping the dude, it's like, oh fuck,
yeah,
DC can't get any lower than this. Talk about the trash right there.
yeah, and I mean, if you look at Wonder Woman 1, what worked well? It was a period piece, so already that set it different from all these other ones. You had her boyfriend. He wasn't just like a side character. He was a hero in his own right. He wasn't able to do all the things that she could do, but that was fine, and in the end he dies. He flies the plane up so that the explosion is away from everybody. He knows he's going to die, but he does it to save people. That makes him a hero. But if you look at 1984, it's like, no, nobody's acting in a heroic and upright manner.
The worst part was when the armor. Remember how she gets the armor? And
Yeah,
it's basically just straight up useless. Just a bad, awful freaking movie, man. I had no idea what happened with Patty Jenkins. People say, oh, it was just a bad day at the office. Well, that's a lot of bad days because people after movies aren't just done in a day. It just months and months and months preparation for this shit. And she was surprised that she didn't get Wonder Woman 3. And I was like,
yeah.
That was shocking to me. I was like, wait, you thought you were getting another one after what you just did there? No way. All 84 had to do was be just about as good as the first one, maybe slightly weaker. That's all that needed to happen to get a third one. But no, just that didn't happen. It actually turned out to be even worse than you could imagine. But yeah, man, I'll ask you a few more things before we head out. The first thing is, got anything planned outside of the website, the D&D thing you want to let the audience know about before you go?
Well, yeah, Wednesday night I have Plum Hummock. He's coming on. He won an Emmy, which is the role-playing game big awards. He did an independent book which has sold over 100,000, which is the title's Gods of the Old North, or Gods of the Forgotten Old North. And it's just an amazing book, like hours and months of play and everything. So that's going to be Wednesday. And then I've got a couple other people talking about comics coming on next week. And then we'll see.
Yeah, because you said you're going to be busy next couple of weeks. You going on vacation or something like that? Outside of like doing some YouTube stuff here and there?
No, it's just I got to get this campaign guy going.
I forgot. It's one of those big things where if you don't put your head in the sand, it's never going to get done kind of thing.
Yeah, it's probably going to be like 450, 500 pages when it's done. So awesome. Like I'm trying to get out final writing to my editor so that I can get it back from her, and then we can go, and then I got to flop it in the layout, which is going around. So, when it's done, so the campaign should be over right about Halloween. Now this is a horror campaign, so I want it for horror season. Right when it ends, you'll be able to download PDF versions of it. The print version will probably take a year. So, and in that intervening year, there's going to be updates to the PDF. It's enough to play right from the beginning, but there's going to be a lot more art. There's going to be some fine tuning once other people get it and play it. We might have to like increase this creature, decrease that, a little tweaking. But I got to get that out enough so that people will have months and months and months of playtime ahead of them.
Yes, sir. Last thing I'll ask you is any shout outs you can give to anyone in particular? Anything else you want to say before we head out?
Sure. Well, thanks for John's Longbox for dropping in. And I forgot, Friday night I will be on the Dungeon Delvers channel playing Classic Gamma World. That's a tabletop game that takes place in a post-apocalyptic future. I am playing a crappy clone. They got a low-rec clone made in China, and his programming is not quite correct. So we'll see if I murder everyone or not.
And it was great talking to you again, man. Always a pleasure anytime. So hopefully the MCU is back on track when Captain America 4 comes out. Captain Black Africa. Yeah, that's going to be hopefully that's going to be one of the movies ever made, like Trap was from M. Night Shyamalan.
I haven't seen it.
That movie is trash. So that's my opinion. And what do I know? I'm just a hot, good, rich. But no, I think I messed up my own line. God dang it. I messed it all up. Good Lord. What am I, CNN? Just kidding, guys. So thank you to Yang Yan Zhao for coming back on again. And thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Iron Man Podcast. And we'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.